I believe people who are investing today definitely heard about SpaceX. Huge news this morning. SpaceX made a dramatic first catch of the rocket's more than 20-story tall booster, a major milestone towards SpaceX's goal of making Starship a fully reusable rocket system. It indicates how fast the space industry is actually growing. But we all know SpaceX is a private company owned by Elon Musk that we cannot invest in through New York Stock Exchange. However, there is a better space stock I want to talk about today that we can invest in, and it's undervalued right now. That is Rocket Lab, whose stock price has been skyrocketing recently. And the reason behind it is not only the fast growth of the space industry, but also their unique marketing strategy compared to SpaceX. They are the company will break SpaceX monopoly in the space industry. Now let's look at the stock price for Rocket Lab recently. In 6 months, Rocket Lab stock price grew from $3.59 to $10.81. All-time high is $11.19, which is around 200% growth. That's a big growth for the company like Rocket Lab. However, I still think it's undervalued stock is because the growth is not really because of rocket. I think it's more people start paying attention to space industry, but they still didn't realize how valuable the company is. The company is really the second leading company in the space industry besides the SpaceX, and they're really putting the time and energy into the researching. And right now they're dominant in the small spacecraft, and they are about to get into the medium spacecraft, which after they finish building the Neutron. So I would say their stock price would at least looks like what AST Space Mobile doing this year later, and I would think it's definitely a good choice for long run in a stock market. Before we get into company's financial, I just want to share some basic information about Rocket Lab. Just like I mentioned earlier, Rocket Lab is a space company. But there are so many space companies out there, and what actually make Rocket Lab stand out and make it special? I believe it's their marketing strategy and also their consistent progress on their spacecraft research. So based on the size of the spacecraft, we can actually divide the spacecraft to 3 different kinds, which is big, medium, and small. So we all know SpaceX, what they really focus on is building a spaceship to achieve the human space traveling. And what Rocket Lab focuses on is a medium and a small spacecraft, which is satellite. So what does satellite actually do? We use a satellite to do the weather prediction and military use, also some scientific research. And just like recently, we all know that there's a hurricane going on around the east coast, Florida, and we also use a satellite to really do the weather prediction. So, and that's what Rocket Lab really focus on, and they're really good at. So we can see that actually they already have a big achievement in the satellite, this market, in this small medium. They are the leading company in the small medium spacecraft market. Electron is already the second most frequent launch U.S. rocket right now, and then they are still keep building the small satellite, and keep launching it. They're keep making the progress. And they also what need to pay attention is they are developing the Neutron, which is a large launch vehicle, which is also like the part of another market. So like we said, the Rocket Lab is already the leading company in the small and medium market. So they got a huge potential to compete with SpaceX in the large spacecraft market. And they are still researching about Neutron. And we can see recent news, they actually got some progress on the Neutron engine. So another point we need really to pay attention about is launch is not the only part of the Rocket Lab really doing. They are also the leading company in the spacecraft technology, like such things like space solar power, advanced upper structure, flat software, star trackers, reaction wares. As the space market growing, there are more and more space companies, and we'll have more needs for the space technology. And I think that's the point a lot of people ignore and didn't really pay attention is that they are also the leading company in the technology. Now let's get into company's financial. Here is a second quarter report for Rocket Lab in 2024. First, we'll look at the statement of operation. As we can see, the revenue for 2023 is $62 million. For 2024, it's $106 million. It's $44 million growth in a year, which is around 60% growth in a year. It's a really impressive performance by for a company like Rocket Lab. However, behind the substantial performance in revenue, we can see there's a big problem here is a high cost of revenue. In 2024, the cost of revenue, second quarter, the cost of revenue is around $80 million, which makes the gross profit only generate $27 million. But it's not the unusual problems like company like Rocket Lab have a high cost of revenue because they have to spend a lot of money on the labor and materials. So what we should focus on is, are they really finding the problem and trying to solve it? So I look at their gross margin and did my calculation. In 2023, their gross margin is around 17% when 6 months ended in June 30. And in 2024, the gross margin is around 23%. That's 6% different. It's a lot as the revenue keep growing. So I think the Rocket Lab is also know that problem and they're trying to turn into profit. So I think it's just a matter of time they improve their gross margin more and make the gross profit more significantly. And now let's look into the operating expense. So we always look at research and development because we know the company, technology company as a Rocket Lab, they have to put more money in research and development to make sure they are still the leading industry in the space industry, right? Leading company in the space industry. Now let's look into company's balance sheet. I think it's really important for us to know the company Rocket Lab is being able to survive through a long-term net loss and being able to pay off their debt on time. Because there are a lot of companies in the space industry or medical industry that they cannot survive throughout a long-term net loss. They usually run out of cash before they can turn the business into profitable. So they have to either file the bankruptcy or go sell their business after they're running out of cash for the regular operation. And there are a lot of examples in the space industry because this industry really needs a lot of money to operate and need a long-term net loss to have some result. And some examples like Virgin Orbit, and like last year Astra Space. So we need to really check it out. If Rocket Lab the one it would survive. Because if we want to talk about the Rocket Lab position in 5 years, in 10 years, it has to survive first. And so which can reflect they can pay off the debt on time is current debt ratio. And I did my calculation. The current debt ratio for 2023 is 45% for Rocket Lab, which is kind of high. However, it dropped to 35% this year. And it is because the significant amount improved on the cash and cash equivalents. And also they are trying slowly to pay off their debt, as we can see. So at the short term, we don't really have to worry about the Rocket Lab face debt problems, which means they will operate normally and keep developing. Last, we'll look into the statement of cash flows. There is no significant amount change between this year and last year. However, there's still some points we can look into, such like account receivable. It's negative $50 million this year, which means the money is not collected yet, which also means that the net income would be actually higher after the money collected later. And we also can look at the contract liability, which is $44 million compared to $26 million last year. I mean, 6 months, in 6 months. It's actually indicate that the company signed a lot of contracts this year. It's actually a good sign because the company's most revenues come from the contract space launches. And we look at the cash flow from investing activity. We can see the investing activity is negative. As long as it's negative, I say it's a green flag for a company in growth. And we look at the cash flow from financing activity. We saw that the financing well, we should know that like the finance, it would be good if a financing activity is negative because they are paying out dividends. However, Rocket Lab is a company in growth and they don't pay dividends. So it's really normal for them to have a positive for the financing activity because they need to generate the cash from the financing activity to support their regular operation. So I didn't see a problem here, as especially they are paying off their debt steadily and slowly. So I think it's pretty positive for their cash flow. Stock price would goes up eventually as the company meet the investor expectation. So I think there's no much need for us to stare at the charts, especially for some long-term investor. Yeah, the most people don't have the faith in this company, so the company is still undervalued, and I think it's a really great opportunity to invest before next bull run. Here are some data about the company in this year. So 141 million total contract value, 100% increase in launch rate from 2023 to 2024, 64% of all non-SpaceX orbital US launches in 2024 so far. And that is the things I was talking about. Besides the SpaceX, Rocket Lab is really the one out there trying to break the monopoly. And they are really dominant in the small spacecraft. And there goes into the medium spacecraft to compete with SpaceX. And they also out this contract, they have great partner and great contract this year. Such partner with like NASA. And all those success is based on the Electron. So what we really gonna see the big success they're gonna bring to the table and the big revenue they're gonna bring to the table after the Neutron release. The whole video I was talking about Neutron. People might think Neutron is so far away. It takes time to produce neutron. However, recently we got a lot of news about the neutron engine produces on the right way, and it's pretty successful. So it's actually not that far as we thought. Especially, in my opinion, the AI trend is actually push all the technology company to grow faster because it really makes all the technology company more efficiency on some work, and you really reduce the time to invent new technology. And right now, all the success was built on the Electron. So when the Neutron comes out, and after they release the Neutron, really gonna be a game changer for the Rocket Lab. It's gonna be a new money maker for Rocket Lab, because the medium launch is a big market, and right now it's only SpaceX doing the medium launches, and they can really break the monopoly by releasing the Neutron. And we don't really have to worry about what if like Neutron is not good enough, such thing like that, because the demand is really strong and growing in the medium spacecraft. So anyway, they will get a piece of the market, and it will not be a small piece. It will be a big piece for the Rocket Lab, and would really be a game changer for the company. So that's why I said it's a company you should really pay attention and put your eyes on it. So it would be a really great investment in a long run. And if you like the video, please subscribe. And if you got any questions or like any topic you want to talk about, please comment below. And I will see you at my next video. Peace out.